Good evening, everyone. It's Matt. This is the Orcs Planet, and welcome to another instalment of Imperial history. I'm going to continue reading the past 300 or so years of the history of the Empire. As before, the link to the Empire LRP wiki page that I'm reading from is below, so if you wish to read along as I talk or want to go back to it later, it's there just for you. Without further ado, here we go. 22 to 34 YE. The reign of Emperor Giovanni, the Peacemaker. After the death of the first Empress, Emperor Giovanni of Tessato was chosen by the Senate to replace her. An advisor to the late Empress, Giovanni was a statesman and politician rather than a military leader like his predecessor. He set about ensuring the empire had the infrastructure required to help it prosper. His first act was to initiate a traditional meeting once every 3 months at the site of the first meeting where the empire was formed. A Senate building was built on the site, and it was declared Imperial territory. Giovanni approached the people of Urizen with an invitation to join the empire. This time they accepted. In return they offered their expertise as scholars and mages. Urizen's scholarship slowly helped to raise the levels of education and literacy across the empire. Harnessing the power of Urizen divination with the expertise of the civil service helped Giovanni to transform the Imperial civil service into its current form. The Urizen worked with the Empire to create the Imperial Conclave, inspired by the experiences during the war with Aldarai the Fair in Varushka. The divided magicians of the Empire, each jealously guarding their own secrets, were barely able to neutralize such a smaller force of the Volodya, and the Senate was keen to ensure that this does not happen again. Giovanni also laid the foundations of the Imperial Bourse, and worked with the Senate and Synod to codify the body of Imperial law. During his reign, he established a single currency based on steel coins used by the Imperial Mint, based in Tessato, under the ultimate control of the civil service. Giovanni died in 34 YE, but his legacy was at least as durable as that of his predecessor. His relentless commitment to civilization earned Giovanni the epithet Peacemaker. 27 YE. Reclamation of Myrian. After 15 years or so of active preparation, the Navarre destroyed the Valorn of Myrian with a combination of military might and potent rituals. The city of Seren was recovered and became a centre for investigation of both Valorn and the history of Turmoil for the next 100 years. Consolidation. 36 to 69 YE. The reign of Empress Reshild, the Sun Queen. Following the reign of Emperor Giovanni, there was a brief period during which the throne was unoccupied. The next Empress was Empress Reshild of Dorne, senator for Astolat. This accomplished Dornish noble parlayed her cleverness and charisma into political influence. She instituted the Imperial Bards, served as a patroness of the arts, accompanied the Imperial armies on campaign as an inspiration symbol of the throne, and worked so extensively to encourage both national and Imperial pride. After her death, she was recognized as an exemplar and later a paragon of pride. 46 YE. Cask captured. Imperial armies from Wintermark and Dawn supported the Varushkan forces' conquest of Karsk. The war was long, and did not produce tales of heroism or glory. 52 YE. Semaholm defeated. An unusual alliance between Marcher and Dawn forces caused the destruction of a major Orc tribe in the territory now known as Semaholm. 54 YE. Scouring of Redoubt. A combined Imperial force assisted the Seers of Urizen in systemically removing the majority of Orc occupants from the territory of Redoubt. Urizen control of the territory expanded, allowing it to be represented in the Senate. 56 YE. Rykos gained. Highborn forces finally succeeded in conquering Rykos on the borders of the Great Forest of Patat. The territory was accepted as part of the Empire, though it took over a year to return the first senator for the territory. 71 to 91 YE. The reign of Empress Talari, the Pious. This Navarre Empress was deeply involved in the business of the Synod, and it was during her reign that they first began to exert the political powers they possessed. During her reign, the Synod gained increasing influence over all parts of imperial life, especially the Imperial Senate. 74 YE. Westward expansion. A campaign to secure the western flank of the Empire took the Morn from Orcs and secured Mitwal to the sea. 88 YE. Invasion of Karaman. Freeborn and Marcher armies concluded a successful pincer invasion of the mountainous territory of Karaman. The occupants were split in two by the invasion, and forced out of the territory in the following years. Expansion. 92 to 102 YE. The first interregnum. Following the reign of Empress Talari, there was a period known as the first interregnum, during which there was nobody seated on the throne. This period was marked by close cooperation between the Conclave, Bourse, Senate, and Military Council, with the Imperial Synod serving a vital role as supporters and intermediaries. As the interregnum progressed, however, there was increasing dissatisfaction with the dominance of the Synod. 103 to 120 YE. The reign of Empress Aeneas, the Builder. The highborn Empress Aeneas spent most of her reign improving the infrastructure of the Empire. Several border wars occurred during Aeneas' time on the throne, and at various points the Empire was at war with Faradon, the Iron Confederacy, Axos, Skura, and even, technically, the Sumer Republic. 125 to 167 YE. The reign of Empress Varkula, the Undying. Taking advantage of a weakened and divided Senate, the ruthless Varushkan Empress Varkula manipulated, and in some cases allegedly extorted, her way to the throne. She then set about dramatically increasing the military strength of the Empire. Her reign saw the Empire's borders expand, and also saw a reduction in the powers of the Synod that had expanded in the reigns of more pious emperors and empresses. 125 YE. The assimilation of Zenith. The Seers of Urizen completed the assimilation of Zenith after a lengthy campaign involving Highborn and League forces and a long sequence of powerful rituals. 136 YE. Fall of Holberg. Imperial armies from Dawn conquered the territory of Holberg. The city of Holberg was convinced to join the Empire by League diplomats, leading to a political coup in the Senate that resulted in the territory being assigned to the League. (154 YE). Skarsind pacified. Although it proved impossible to drive the barbarian orcs from Skarsind, enough of the territory was conquered and fortified for it to be declared an imperial territory. (167 YE). The domination of Mirkarova. Steady expansion by the Varushkan boyars over the preceding century led to the inclusion of Mirkarova within the Empire. 168 to 179 YE. Reign of Emperor Frederick, the philosopher. Frederick Ritter van Holberg reigned for 11 years, over a time of relative peace during which the Empire consolidated the gains secured during the reign of Empress Varkula. He was a philosopher, a political scholar who fiercely protected the rights of the individual over those of the state, and encouraged citizens of all nations to view the prosperity and security of the Empire as both their responsibility and something in which to take great pride. 180 to 199 YE. Reign of Emperor Barabbas. The highborn Emperor Barabbas was driven by the desire to expand the empire to control the entire Bay of Katazar. He was only marginally successful, managing primarily to alienate the people of Suran and Skora, and ultimately seeing his Barabbine fleet sink in a terrible storm that would have left the Imperial navy crippled, if not for the foresight of his freeborn allies. Expansion into Segura. A united front by the Hakima of the Guerra and Ricasa led to the Brass Coast expansion into Segura. Turmoil. This period saw the reign of Emperor Nicovar, and his catastrophic effect on the history of the Empire. It was characterized by a sequence of military defeats, as earlier conquests were lost to resurgent barbarian forces, beginning with Segura in the Brass Coast in 204 YE, and ending with the war in Karst in 259. Most of the defeats were eventually reversed, with the borders moving back and forth. By the end of the years of turmoil, the Empire actually controlled slightly more land than at the beginning. But the period is still regarded as a low point in Imperial history. 200 to 209 YE. The reign of Emperor Nicovar, the Mad. The first reversals in the Empire's fortune occurred during the reign of Emperor Nicovar. Initially a brilliant administrator, Nicovar expanded the role of the civil service in support of the Empire. However, a decade of attempting to micromanage every element of the Empire, as well as a reliance on the magic of day to gather and interpret even greater amounts of information, eventually caused him to descend into madness. The Draugr Emperor became increasingly unstable, perceiving patterns in events that appeared paranoid to others. His unpopular policies divided the Senate and the Synod, and there were rumbles of civil war. He began to demand extreme amounts of record-keeping, and it became clear that he was not in his right mind. Things came to a head in 209 YE when Emperor Nicovar sent his troops to burn down the Empire's libraries. There was a revolt, which culminated in the destruction of the central repository of records in Highguard and several key spires in Urizen. The mad emperor was executed by the captain of his own guard, the Navarre Thorn, Isela. Despite appeals for clemency from the Synod, Isela took full responsibility. She was convicted as a traitor, but at the same time was both lauded as an exemplar of courage and duty, and a hero of the Empire. The destruction of the libraries left a big hole in the history of the Empire. Thousands of books and scrolls were lost. While records still existed, there were many gaps, and those that remained were fragmentary. Since then, the scholars have attempted to recreate the books and records they had lost, but with mixed success. I'm going to leave it there with Nicovar tonight. As you can tell, a lot of the thrones pre-Nicovar have a lot less fluff text behind them than the ones that come after, because of course the burning of the libraries. I think that's a good place to end though. So thank you very much for listening, and tune in again soon when I continue our Imperial history. Thank you very much. Goodbye.